Jonathan Heath once said, "The most powerful force ever known on this planet is human cooperation, a force for construction and destruction." Just for a minute, imagine this. The European Union collapses, G7 disintegrated, and the world is looking for an alternative to manage the global economic order. Africa's economy flourishes beyond belief. Latin America unites as a singular economic bloc, and Asia takes the lead in global economy. And wealth officially completes its shift from the West to the East. What next, you may ask? In this video, I am going to provide you my analysis as to how a rising economic bloc such as BRICS could play a major economic role on the global stage starting this year, as the world shifts from a unipolar to a multipolar order. So, fasten your seatbelt and let's take a ride exploring the new horizons of the geopolitical highways. Our show today is sponsored by Noble Gold. My name is Dr. David Walalu, and you are watching Geopolitics in Conflict.
20 years ago, it was just an idea, a grouping of emerging countries, all with large populations and impressive growth rates, banding together to rival the world's wealthiest and most industrialized nations.
Russia has been pushing this idea for years now, and it's partly for economic reasons. It wants to lessen its own dependence on the US dollar, lessen the risk of having that kind of dependence on the dollar.
Let me set the scene for you. One of the clearest trends the world witnessed last year in 2022 was the accelerating eastward shift in global economic power. Much of this exodus was initially achieved through the continued strengthening of the Shanghai Cooperation Organization, SCO, for example, with significant progress being made by the BRICS groups of 5 major emerging economies. That includes Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa. In terms of joint policy coordination and with several order, with other economies showing clear signs of interest in joining the increasingly influential bloc. 2023 looks set to be the BRICS bloc's most impactful year within the global economic and geopolitical landscape. Now here's a message from our sponsor. Noble Gold Investments is pleased to let you know that gold was the best investments class for 2022. Real estate, crypto, stocks, and bonds, gold outperformed them all in 2022. Noble Gold Investments helped thousands of clients buy real physical gold. According to longtermtrend.com, gold outperformed the S&P 500, the Dow, and the Bitcoin in 2022. Had you invested in the S&P 500 a year ago, you would be down more than 20%. If you invested in Bitcoin a year ago, you would be down more than 65%. If you invested in the Dow a year ago, you will be down almost 10%. Yes, gold has outperformed them all in 2022, and the silver was not far behind. So what are you waiting for? Join the thousands of others by opening a gold IRA or a silver IRA with Noble Gold Investments. Invest with Noble Gold Investments before the end of this month, and you will bag a free quarter-ounce American Gold Eagle coin with every qualified IRA of $50,000 or more. You can't go wrong with Noble Gold Investments and their thousands of 5-star reviews. Call Noble Gold Investments today at 877-646-5343 for a no-pressure consultation, only conversation. Yes, that's 877-646-5343. 5347. If you are not ready to invest, download the Noble Gold Investments Guide. Scroll down below and you will find the link in the description below. For mobile users, click the More button to find the link. And remember, there is always risk in investments and there is no guarantee of any kind. Back to our topic. What is BRICS? It's an economic bloc of emerging countries of Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa. They're ranked among the world's fastest growing emerging market economies for years, thanks to low labor cost, favorable demographics, and abundant natural resources at a time of a global commodities boom. The BRICS have an estimated total population of about 3.2 billion people, or 41% of the global population. BRICS are among the world's 10 largest countries by population, area, and GDP. All 5 BRICS countries are members of the G20 with a combined nominal GDP of $26.6 trillion, or about 26.2% of the gross world product. B, a total GDP purchasing power parity of around $51.9 trillion, or 32.1% of global GDP. And C, an estimated $4.4 trillion in combined foreign reserves as of 2018. So it might seem easy to brush off countries the world sees as emerging, but ignoring this coalition of countries could be disastrous for the Western global market. So herein the fundamental question: why will the BRICS bloc play a crucial global economic role in 2023? So for starter, China is the clear economic powerhouse of the BRICS nations. Apparently, the world's second largest economy and the overall global economic leader when accounting for purchasing power parity. China's expansion and rapidly growing economic influence throughout the world will prove hugely significant for global economic developments this year in 2023. Given its apparently unshakable alliance with neighboring BRICS members like Russia. Moreover, the two nations are already leading the way in offering the world a major counterbalance to Western political unions such as the G7, the Group of Seven, and with India, Brazil, and South Africa all having a deep diplomatic and economic ties with either China, Russia, or both. The BRICS collective is now becoming increasingly aligned across several important issues. Some of its biggest achievements include the establishment of the new development bank, known as NDP, which is now financing key infrastructure projects across the world, as well as the creation of the BRICS Contingent Reserve Arrangements, known as CRA, a mechanism for providing support through additional liquidity and other means to BRICS countries during time of economic crisis. But as the world has become increasingly polarized over the last year or so, the bloc, BRICS that is, has stepped up efforts to advance its economic interests, which in turn is helping to cultivate strong alternative financial systems that are now rapidly expanding in their global appeal. One of the most significant objectives the BRICS nations appear to be working to achieve is a shift away from a reliance on the US dollar. Even before the outbreak of the war in Ukraine, which seems to have expedited de-dollarization initiatives across much of the non-Western world, Russia and China had embarked on a clear policies of local currency promotions, invariably at the dollar's expense, as their relationship with the United States continued to deteriorate. What Western media did not want you to know is that by the first quarter of 2020, for instance, the dollar's share of bilateral trade between Russia and China fell below 50% for the first time on record, having been almost 90% just 5 years earlier. In a recent research paper titled, "Can BRICS De-Dollarize the Global Financial System?" Zhong-Yon Zhu and Mahela Papa of the Tufts University in Massachusetts stated, and I quote, "Such de-dollarization initiatives are happening largely under the radar of contemporary scholarship." End of quote. Interestingly, the research paper was published by Cambridge University Press on February 24th, 2022, the same day that the war between Russia and Ukraine broke out. You all see why, right? But perhaps the most significant recent development from the BRICS bloc is the confirmation that the 5 member states are now seriously exploring the potential introduction of BRICS reserve currency. According to Pavel Knyazev, Deputy Director of the Russian Foreign Ministry Foreign Policy Planning Department, the currency will be created to serve the BRICS nations' economic interest better and will be based on a basket of their respective domestic currencies: the Chinese yuan, the Russian ruble, the Indian rupees, the Brazilian real, and the South African rand. Knyazev said in early October 2022, and I quote, "The possibility and prospect of setting up a common single currency based on a basket of currencies of the BRICS countries are being discussed. Member states are actively studying mechanisms to exchange financial information for a robust alternative global payment system." End of quote. This progress means that reports published in recent months of several countries applying to join the BRICS should come as no surprise. Indeed, Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov acknowledged that at least another dozen of countries are interested in joining the BRICS. Lavrov said in November 2022, and I quote, "Interest in this global association is very, very high and continues to grow. It's not just Algeria, Argentina, and Iran. In fact, there are more than a dozen such countries." End of quote. He added that the group was in the midst of establishing a formal entry process, formal entry requirements. Which countries are these new candidates demanding to join the bloc? In addition to formal applications having been received from Algeria, Argentina, and Iran, it is widely believed that Saudi Arabia, Turkey, Egypt, Afghanistan, and Indonesia have also either applied already or are due to do so imminently. And additional media reports suggest that Kazakhstan, Nicaragua, Nigeria, Senegal, Thailand, and United Arab Emirates have also expressed interest in joining the BRICS Union. Of this diverse mix of nations, it is Saudi Arabia that, if approved, and I am sure it will perhaps represent the most profound addition to the BRICS, particularly given the precarious global geopolitical climate at present. Ties between Saudi Arabia and the United States deteriorated markedly in 2022, with the United States President Joe Biden's request for Organization of the Petroleum Exporting Countries, known as OPEC, to expand oil production, not only falling on deaf ears, but apparently inspiring the global oil cartel to take the opposite route and cut output by an enormous 2 million barrels a day. So with Washington perceiving such drastic measures as Saudi Arabia siding with Moscow and thus threatening appropriate retaliation, the further souring of relations will only push Saudi Arabia towards the embrace of BRICS and Eastern economies in general. With China having already stepped up its overall investments in Saudi Arabia, the biggest recipient of China's Belt and Road Initiative infrastructure investments in 2021, Saudi Arabia concerted shift away from the West and towards the East will surely see some or all of the BRICS nations benefit as a consequence. I argued this point in my book, Beneath the Veil, Fall of the House of Saud, that Saudi Arabia's state-owned oil company, Aramco, also confirmed in May 2021 that China's energy security will be its highest priority for the next 50 years. While China is currently Saudi Arabia's biggest trading partner with more than $50 billion worth of exports last year, 18% of the kingdom's total. What's more, early November 2022 saw gas-rich Algeria formally apply to join the BRICS coalition, further emphasizing the potential magnitude of the bloc's energy interest. On February 2nd, 2023, another North African nation, Egypt, a staunch US ally, agreed to join BRICS Group's new development bank, which comes as a significant addition that supports development plans and priorities of the country and embraces Egypt's ability to achieve its economic, political, and social objectives. The Eastern Mediterranean has become a hot spot for gas exploration after several significant discoveries, including giant Zohr field in Egypt, which Eni, which is an Italian multinational energy company headquartered in Rome, also discovered. Egypt has some 2.2 trillion cubic meters of proven gas reserves and produced over 95 billion cubic meters as of 2021. Zohr field alone produces over 2.7 billion cubic feet of gas daily. Its reserves are estimated at 850 billion cubic meters of natural gas. So here is my conclusion for you. Many in the West argue that BRICS was unable to act as an organization, plagued by a rivalry between the bloc's two most powerful members, China and India. And while for now there is unity between Russia and China, and with new members, BRICS influence is likely to expand. Yet, it behooves China and India to bury their differences and work together. In the longer term, BRICS' future as a forum of constructive dialogue and as a promoter for a multipolar shift in the global order, giving more visibility to Global South's perspective, depends much on Russia's and China's stand on whether they will want to engage and to what extent, or rather push for changes desired by them alone. In this respect, Western powers should pay much attention to the positions of the other southern states, given their recent independent policy stands from the West, and whether they will be allured by the new era of international relations laid out by President Putin and President Xi in their joint statements on February 2022. As always, prepare yourself for a changing world order. Till next time. Bye-bye.